So welcome to this short webinar called Learn Speed Reading Faster. I should say it faster with us.
Okay, so I'm introducing Jan Cisek, who's been one of the top speed reading instructors for 25 years now. And we've been working together for quite a while, but he'll tell you that.
And Susan, we've been working for 25 years. We met in 2000. And Susan is the world-leading expert in accelerated learning.
Okay, so we think we're good. So we hope you do too. And we're here to present our new book, which is The Speed Reading Faster. But we want to get going as quickly as possible. And we're going to give you as much information about speed reading itself as we possibly can. So you actually walk away with some good speed reading stuff you can actually put into practice. So that's how we're getting going.
And combined experience is 50 years. So if you want a bit of maths.
Okay. Now then, we're going to do question and answer at the end. But if you have any specific questions as we go through, please do use the chat and put them in, and I'll try and keep a note and notice any questions so that we will know what's going on. So, Jan.
So you're going to learn 3 things: how to double your reading speed and more. It was 4. Expand your peripheral vision to maximize text processing, and lastly, get the information quickly from any text. Any information from any text. So we're going to cover some of the techniques from our book, Speed Reading Faster, and we'll give you more information about the book later.
Okay, what we're going to do now is a pre-test just to see what your reading speed is at the moment. And it means that you need some text. As I said, I'm going to use the speed reading book as my book, but any text you've got, can you open it at a page where you can start reading? Pretty much any book you like. It can be a novel, it can be anything. It's just so that you've got some ordinary reading so you can check how much you're reading. And as soon as I can see everybody back in the screen, I'm going to get you going. Now, we're only going to do it for 1 minute. Jan is going to time you and tell you when to start and when to stop. And what we'd like you to do is just read at your normal speed, the normal speed at which you read, with comprehension. So making sure that you understand what you're reading, but just whatever it is. So get ready to go, and Jan will tell you when to start.
So if you're ready, just read regular reading rate. Remember where to start, and so you can count the number of lines. Ready? 1 minute starting now. Okay, stop. That was 1 minute. Please
okay, so what we'd like you to do is just rough count the number of lines that you've read. So anything with more than 1 word on it counts as a line. Whatever your book is, the number of lines you've read.
So an average reading speed for most population is about between 200 to 300 words per minute for kind of non-technical material. Obviously, it depends how much you know. and the design of the book, etc. But that's a general sort of rate. So hopefully with some of the speeding techniques, you can double, triple, quadruple your reading rate. But also the rate is just one thing, because there's also the volume. And the techniques that we teach in the book that can allow you to process up to 10 times more information in volume, not just speed. You might be speed reading or reading at the same rate, but actually be reading more material. So we'll get to that later. So the first technique is to expand your peripheral vision to maximize text processing.
Okay, right. So the first thing we're going to do is expand your peripheral vision. Now, most people read by looking directly at the words, but your brain can take in as much more information than that. And if you deliberately expand your peripheral vision, you actually can take in more, which will just speed you up anyway. So the way to do it is to put your hands in front of your face. If you like to do it as we go. Okay, look straight ahead, so beyond your hands, and stay looking straight ahead. Don't move your hands from side to side. And then move your hands round to behind your ears, still looking forwards. So your hand should now be invisible. But then wiggle your little fingers and move your hands forwards. And as soon as you can see your fingers on both sides, I'd like you to smile, take a deep breath in, relax, and just notice by looking forwards how much more you can see. And then make sure you're relaxed and let your eyes relax. Take your hands down, and once you've put your eyes in peripheral vision, they'll stay there for a while. You don't have to keep going back to it. I mean, unless you get interrupted, but that should easily last you about 20 minutes, which is what we're going to ask you to work in anyway, blocks of 20 minutes. Okay, now if you don't want to put your hands up, now that you've done it, take your hands down, look forwards, and now try to look behind both ears at the same time. So do exactly the same thing with your eyes. Take a deep breath in, smile as you breathe out, and feel your eyes relaxed and feel them in peripheral vision.
You're not moving your eyes from one side to the other, just trying to see behind you, so what's on the walls, whatever. Just kind of see as much as you can behind you. So that's how it works. So you don't have to use hands if you're doing this in your office.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
So the next thing is that we're going to teach you 4 things from our book, Speed Reading Faster, and they are preview, summaries, purpose, and working in 20 minutes sessions, which will allow you to stay on top of your reading material.
Okay. So the first one is preview. With whatever material you've got, any book, any document, anything you're going to be reading, it's really useful to look quickly backwards and forwards through the book, through the text, whatever it is. So you can go quickly to get an idea of what's going on, and then you can spend a couple of minutes just looking forward, looking around to find out what the message is, what is it that it's about, and where do you think you're going to find most of the information, and what sort of information do you think you're going to find? Okay, so when you do it with something real, when you're actually needing this information, you've got use between 2 and 5 minutes. 5 minutes, absolute maximum. This isn't for you to read, it's just for you to find out what it's all about. So do that now for 1 more minute and notice how much information you can get even just by quickly looking through.
And the idea is basically to decide go or no go with this book, whether you're buying or you giving the book or whatever. So then you have this overview or preview, we call it, and then you're going to work with the book. But this is just the first step. Because with speed reading, you'll discover many times that, literally in 1 minute, that maybe you shouldn't be reading this book, or maybe you should buy this book because it's so good.
Okay. But whatever it is you have to read, do the preview.
Still have 20 seconds.
Okay. The important thing is it gives your brain an overview of the sort of material that you're looking at. So having an overview, getting an idea of what it is, what you're doing is you're priming your brain to notice things. And when you've primed it, it's likely to notice other things. So, and it recognizes things when you come back to them again. So just by going backwards and forwards like that, your brain is taking in a lot more information than you can take in consciously. And so you're beginning to start your brain on the process for when you're actually specifically looking for information you need.
It's like you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu just to get a sense what's there. Right, so the next one is summaries, which is very short. And in our book, as you can see on this slide, in our book, actually, we include summaries at the beginning, and that's the good place to put them. A lot of books have it at the end. Sometimes authors hide the summaries. They say, in short, to summarize somewhere in the middle of the text, which is very unkind. But basically, we want to make you aware that there's summaries everywhere. And usually they're at the beginning or at the end of the book, at the beginning or the end of the chapters. So we make it easy for you. But also there's lots of book summaries. So like Business Classic 50, that's a series of books, 50, philosophy classics, 50 psychology classics. There's no 50 speed reading classics, unfortunately. Passing Time in the Law, again, that book has 150 books summarized, each one on each page. Amazing. But research suggests that summaries are a completely valid way to get both overview and details. According to research, people who read summaries remember not only more, but also remember for longer. So really encourage you to buy books that have summaries or look for summaries online and so on. But our book includes the summary of each technique at the beginning.
Okay. The third thing we recommend is that you know what your purpose is for reading the book. You wouldn't go to a meeting without an agenda, or if you do, you will understand why it doesn't work very well. But most people pick up a book and they don't really know what they want from it. So the clearer you are about what it is you want from the material, the easier it is to notice it, the easier it is for it to jump out at you. So the first question you ask yourself is, are you reading for pleasure or for information? And we recommend you don't try and do both at the same time, particularly in the beginning. So you reading for pleasure, you can do whatever you want that gives you pleasure and read at whatever speed gives you pleasure. That's not a problem. What we're talking mostly about here is information. So the rest of the suggestions we're giving you are for when you're trying to get work information or study information from a text. I personally like reading slowly before I go to sleep. If I get to boring bits, I kind of use my speed reading skills to get through them quickly and move on. But pleasure is up to you. Information is fine. Now, once you've got something from which you're looking for information, know what you want from the text. And it's either going to be the message, what's the whole thing about, because you don't know, or if you do know what it's about, or you know that this text contains some information you want, you look for specific information. So you can do anything. I mean, you can use your index, you can use anything you like, but go for the specific information. So your first purpose will be either message or specific information. And then ask yourself, what am I going to do with this information? And that will help you focus in. The more precise you are about what you want, the easier it's going to be to find it and to understand what's going on. Okay, so we recommend that you have a clear purpose from your reading material, and that will actually speed up you're getting the information because you know what you're looking for.
And obviously, if you're looking for specific information, you've got table of content. If it's digital, you can search. There's lots of different ways of getting specific information. But if it's just general message, you might need to go through the whole book or the text or look for summaries. So the next thing is work in 20-minute sessions. So set time limits, and 20 minutes is the ideal time for adults. Children, when we teach children, we give them 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but with that 20 minutes to half an hour, it's a natural kind of time to kind of focus without major distractions, yeah? And stick to time initially. Later, you can be more flexible. By sticking to time helps you to develop a habit of and the skill of speed reading. And it will definitely help you to focus, yeah? And again, it's like, there's so many distractions nowadays. And if you don't create that space for reading, there's always something else to do. And that's one of the key things that people discovered over the years. And there's also different principles, the 80-20 principle related to that as well, and so on, which we discuss in the book. But stick to time. Find 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you have time, stick to that, and then see how much information you can get out of your material.
Okay. So we think that having a lot of techniques that you can use to are really important, but obviously you do also want to read faster. So getting the information more quickly into your brain, when you want to use the information, that's your brain doing thinking skills, but the reading bit of it, you want to get the information in. So there's a technique for speeding up your eyes and your brain, which I'd like you to do right now. So get your text that you found before, find a new page, and what I'd like you to do is just look sort of wobbly down the page, and you're going much quicker than you can understand. You're going to go at 4 seconds a page. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. New page. 1, 2, 3, 4. New page. Now, don't try and cheat. Don't try and kind of secretly get as much information as you can. Just go down and just notice words as you go. I mean, if you see any, that's brilliant. If not, and one of the speed reading tips is to turn pages quicker, because it's once you actually get good at it, you want to get going and moving on quickly. So are you ready? Starting at the top, and 1, 2, 3, 4, smile. Next page. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next page. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next page. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, stop a minute. I'm guessing you're not getting anything and you have no idea why you're doing this. Is that right? Okay.
That's
All
how
right.
it's supposed to be.
All right, which is fine. But just think about it. When you're driving along on a motorway and you're going along within the speed limit, 70 miles an hour, and you come off into a 30-mile-an-hour zone, it's very hard to slow down because your brain is still reacting at 70 miles an hour. So it feels really slow to go at 30. And yet if you set off on an icy morning at the beginning, then 30 miles an hour feels incredibly fast. I mean, anything faster than 10 miles an hour can feel fast. So fast and slow is not a fixed thing according to your brain. So if you go at 4 seconds a page and then go back and start reading more slowly with comprehension, you're still going to be working at the faster speed, and it will speed up the speed with which you can take in the information. So what happens actually is you go faster than you can understand, 4 seconds, notice any words as you fly past, but actually after you've done about 6 pages, you might notice you're noticing more more words. You're still not understanding, but you're noticing more words. Once you start noticing more words, you can go back to where you started and then read it more slowly. The benefit is you've already primed your brain because you've gone past it quickly. You should be able to read faster. It gets you going faster. And then once you're going faster, you can keep going faster, even beyond the bits you've read before. Okay?
So the important bit of the priming is that, you know, we prime ourselves with everything. And then in advertising, branding, you know, sometimes you start buying, kind of impulse buying a new toothpaste because 5 days before you noticed an advert on a bus or somewhere, you didn't pay attention, but you were primed for that thing. It feels familiar. The same way in these slides, actually, it's useful that you can see all the slides on the left side. You can see what's coming. So although they're tiny, but in terms of the pictures, you kind of prime. So when there's a new slide, non-consciously or subliminally, you kind of been exposed to that information. So the same for the book. You know, whenever you go through a book very quickly, flick through the book, you've seen the whole picture of the book. Then when you go back for details, you kind of recognizing quicker and it's easier to understand.
Okay. So we're going to do it again. And then we're going to go into the do it as a test. When you're doing the 4 seconds a page, obviously you're going faster than you can understand. But once we say go back to the beginning and do it as a test, Jan will measure the 1 minute again, and we'll see if you can read more lines this time, having kind of sped up your brain. Now we're going quite fast, but let's see how you do. Okay, so starting, deep breath in, look straight ahead, try and see behind both ears at the same time, just get your peripheral vision really nice and open. And then let's go through the book, starting at a good page and keep your finger in where you're starting. And off we go at 4 seconds a line. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, smile, 3, 4. It's not hard, this. You're going faster than you can read. 2.
This is the best part, is you don't have to
4.
read too much, you just
1,
need to keep your eyes open.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can see words as you go past, just nod, would you? 2, okay, 3, 4. Well done. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now go back to where you started on this page, on this bit. Jan's going to
Make sure you know where you're starting, because for 1 minute you're going to read regular speed with comprehension until I tell you to stop. So are you ready? 1 minute starting now. Okay, stop now. That was 1 minute. Please stop. Count the number of lines that you've read this time. Or if it was pages maybe. And tell us in the chat how much more you're reading. Percentage-wise, double, triple or just 30%, 50%. So get an idea how much more you're reading this time, as opposed to the first test, 1 minute test.
Double. Well done. Okay, not everybody gets double the first time. Partly it depends on what you're reading. Partly it can be that you're a bit stressed about other things. But now you know how to do it, have a go tomorrow on another piece of material and do the same thing again while you're not under any stress, and notice how much more you can read. Okay. Once, and as I say, once you've got yourself up to speed, it's much easier to carry on through the book or through the text to get the information you want. Well done for those of you who got anything better. Okay.
Remember, it's your first time. It's going to get better and better. It's not going to get worse. It's going to get easier and better. So this is the contents of our book, Speed Reading Faster, and already available for pre-orders, but a lot of people actually did the pre-order and already got it yesterday. We got news from that. So although it's on pre-order if you go to Amazon or Waterstones or whatever, but you can get it probably for the weekend. So this is the table of content where we cover all the techniques. So basically we have 10 techniques and plus a few other techniques, combined techniques that we go into in details. And as we explained earlier in the book, and we're very proud of that. That's probably the best book we've written. Susan written 50 books, only 2. So basically, the idea was how to create a book that by reading this book or speed reading this book, you're learning how to speed read. So by the end of the book, you're a speed reader. Because usually books talk about speed reading and then you have to do it and so on. But in this case, the design, the thinking, the mindset that we put it in this book are such that you become a speed reader by just reading this book or having this book even.
Yeah, it tells you what you can focus on. It tells you which bits you can happily overlook in the first instance. With each technique, it gives you a simple summary, a simple instructions at the beginning. You can get the instructions, but then after that, there's more information if you need it. So we always recommend that once you've got enough, be happy with enough and keep going. But you've got all the backup information if you need it for later on anyway. But you can go through I think there are 10 specific techniques and then various ways of combining them to do things like study or read 4 texts at the same time or whatever. And it's got some backup principles. So the principle of getting the big picture before the details is an important thing for your brain. And it's the principle behind previewing, which we did at the beginning. Okay. Thank you.
Also, we have information for students, how to read difficult text, all kinds of little things that are important in these days for getting information you want. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So just to remind you about the benefits, I'm showing you now. So you're going to read faster, read more. Obviously, you're going to remember and recall. A lot of people worried, oh, I'm going to read faster. Maybe my comprehension or memory drops. Actually, the faster you read, the better comprehension, the better recall. Obviously, there you need to do little other things. You can absorb information quicker, not just for knowledge, but also for wisdom. You can get key points very quickly, understand, summarize, and then tell to others. Any difficult material, technical material, can tackle with speed reading. Obviously, it's good for overview and details, but also fun and enjoyment. Helps you with focus and concentration if that's your issue. Also good for note-taking, study skills. But ultimately, you need speed reading to save time, to be more productive, so you can do other things apart from reading, so you get more time to do anything else. It gives you more choice in terms of how you process information, so you're not reading in first gear, very slowly. and obviously you want to become a speed reader. So far, we haven't met a single person who came to our course and we speak who didn't want to become a speed reader. Deep down, we all want to become speed readers, and now it's your chance, yeah? And we have this cake here as part of celebration of World Book Day. Today is World Book Day, and it's always the first Thursday of March every year. So we're celebrating, this World Book Day with a cake. So we got this idea from a book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, thin slicing. I'll explain in a minute. And it's in the book as well. So the question is, how do you slice a cake? Like this. You wouldn't, slice it kind of horizontally. Obviously, there are different ways, but basically it's a slice, a big slice. I like cakes. So the same applies for speed reading. You wouldn't, you don't need to, well, sometimes you have to. You wouldn't want to read the book from cover to cover when you're applying speed reading techniques that you're going to acquire, because you don't need sometimes every single page, yeah? So when you kind of look through the whole book, get a preview, get summaries, you thin slicing. Basically, it's a principle behind speed reading. It's the art of speed reading. So we thin slice books all the time to get the information that we need, yeah? So the same with the cake. You wouldn't eat a cake layer by layer. It's not healthy. And the same goes for shopping. You already know how to speed read in other ways, process information. You go to a shop that sells cakes. This is a shop with stationery. You wouldn't go to a shop to buy cakes. And even if you go with big supermarkets, you go to a section that has cakes. So it's annoying when they move things around and you have to find your way around. But the same applies for speed reading. Once you know what's in the book with preview and you've got some skills, you can go and find the information very quickly without being overwhelmed with any information, with any text. Yeah. And we had one quote about the benefits. This boy, 12 years old, who came to our course some time ago, he said, "I wish I had done the speed reading course earlier when I was 8 years old." And I wish that too.
I don't know about that. I wish that I'd known this before I went to university. It would have made the whole thing a completely different experience. But okay, I know it now. That's the important thing.
So yeah, you've taken some steps today, and then we've got the book. So it's on Kindle and paperback, very inexpensive, on Amazon, Waterstones, and Barnes in the US, wherever you can find it. But this is also a Q&A session, and already 5 people who applied first for this course, they got emails, so you know who you are. You're going to get this book.
So you're getting your free copy because you were the first 5 people to do it, and you should have an email telling you that.
But somebody already asked, one of those 5 people said, "Are you going to do a workshop based on this book?" Yeah, and we thought that's a good idea. We believe that you could learn it from the book, but some people, we all have different learning styles. Some people like workshops, so that's why we're creating this 4-hour workshop on Zoom on Saturday, 5th of April, from 2 o'clock to 6 p.m. UK time. So if you want to come, usually we charge £300 per day for a workshop. So we're giving a huge discount. So for half a day, it's 70 pounds. But you need to get the book because the whole workshop will be based on that book. So that's the prerequisite to get to that course.
Now, there have been a couple of questions that have come up on the chat, and one of them asks about digital reading. All of the techniques work for digital reading as well as for online, hard copy. You obviously just have to scroll rather than flick pages and so on. So however you can turn your pages quickly and get the information, everything is translatable to digital. Said, oh, so this is mostly about non-fiction. And it's mostly about how you get the information. But as I said earlier, it's perfectly okay to read faster for fiction if that's the speed at which you want to read. But there are certain, things like poetry. I wouldn't speed read poetry. I might speed read through the book to find out what it's about, but then I would read in detail. If I'm looking at philosophy, I'll get the information as quickly as I can by speeding reading it, but the contemplation of it is something I'll do more slowly. So it's not that it's speed reading is 90% brain, reading is 90% brain and 10% eyes, frankly. So it's really how quickly you can get the information from the written material in order to think about what you want to do with it afterwards. Dyslexic. Eleanor asked about dyslexic readers. Okay, we are not experts in dyslexia, but we have had a lot of people who have been diagnosed with dyslexia on the course. And because the problem with dyslexia is you're reading word by, they struggle with reading word by word and grouping the words themselves, they tend to get a bigger overview of what they're reading, which then can get confusing. All the people we've had who've had dyslexia on this course, on the courses we've run, have improved their reading fantastically. The thing is, because we're not experts in that, we can't claim that. I can just tell you informally that it's true.
Yeah, some increase the reading rate 40 times, 50 times, because they have skills now to deal with that kind of fitted. Because basically we use some of the accelerated learning strategies to help people to learn better. So it's about speed reading, but also about learning as well. Another question was from Julia about peripheral vision, 20-minute chunks, and when you're doing it on small screens, technology, what happens with peripheral vision? Yes, so yeah, when you're looking on a screen or you're reading from a mobile phone, your peripheral vision kind of gets narrowed down. So you need to kind of relax from time to time. It's not a big deal, really, because once you open your peripheral vision, your brain works that way. So obviously you notice things on both sides.
So if you sit back a bit further away from the text, you can see more of it, and you relax more, and your peripheral vision comes more into focus. So, you know, depending on your eyesight and things like that. But yes, the peripheral vision is, we find, really helpful. And one of the questions we got asked, that just in case you didn't ask any, was what are the 3 most important techniques to learn? And we think that they're purpose, preview, and state, being in a good state, including opening your peripheral vision. And that's why we focused on these for you today. Any other questions? Oh, how do you book onto the workshop? How are we going to do that, Jan?
Yeah, so the link is there already in the chat. Go to our website. So that's our website.
Speedreading.com,
yeah.
speedreading.com.
And then you go to booking and...
Okay, so we've actually, if we started at 5 past, our time is up for now. We'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for coming. Really good to see you. Really, I hope some of it was useful. And thank you. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.